welcome once again to another one of our sneak peeks for the InfoSource Capture and IDP conference to be held September 6th and 7th. It's just south of Chicago in Illinois. Coming right around the corner, we have with us Kevin Neal, who in his role today, he is the marketing director for TWAIN as well as a board member for TWAIN. He lives and breathes this stuff. He's always a great listen. So let's dive right into TWAIN. Can you quickly explain TWAIN, both as an organization and what TWAIN Direct does?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, Bryant, we're very pleased as the TWAIN Working Group to be once again a sponsor of the InfoSource Capture and IDP conference. It's always a great event, great networking and learning new things. So this is really wonderful. So we really appreciate it. Look forward to it. First of all, TWAIN Working Group is a nonprofit organization of about 25 years building a specification for imaging device, usually document scanners, to software applications. And most of us know TWAIN printers and TWAIN scanners. So basically it's a installed application between the hardware and the software that allows you to talk, because the software application doesn't talk directly to document scanners. So that's what we've done for a long time. We built a specification. We're currently on version 2.5 of the TWAIN Classic specification, and it's used by hundreds of millions of devices worldwide daily. Our newest project is TWAIN Direct. So as I mentioned, the TWAIN driver is usually installed on a Windows PC or Linux or a Mac system, and then it does the translation. But the newest iteration of this is the same concept of connecting hardware to software, but we use a API instead of an installed application. So what does this mean? That integration's faster, it's more standard, and it's available for more people. So basically, TWAIN Direct API, the TWAIN Direct specification API, it's an open source standard. Anybody can go get it from our website and actually create a TWAIN Direct application that talks directly to a document scanning or an imaging device via network interface instead of a PC. So it's really revolutionary for cloud and mobile kind of environments.
Well, let's take that down a level and go from explanation and definition to why would someone use TWAIN Direct over the other methods of connecting a scanner to an application? Or
there's still a lot of confusion around what exactly is network scanning. So let me give you the definition from the TWAIN Working Group. And so basically what's next is awareness of this kind of technology and sharing use cases and case studies of people tangibly saving money because they don't have the expense of buying PCs and then buying the operating system and then the labor to update the operating systems, then the labor to go and find the right version of the driver, whether it's 32-bit or 64-bit. I got to get that, and then I got to install the malware and the antivirus. So there's a cost to maintain these PCs, whether it's the knowledge worker that's not getting the work done, or the IT department that actually has to do the work, or somebody that they have to get from a line of business to, hey, can you go install software on these PCs? So there's a lot of costs associated with it, and it's very tangible. And I see it on a daily basis, and some of the reports I see are that the biggest cost of scanning and capture systems is actually the scanner driver. It's not that the hardware doesn't work. I mean, they break occasionally because they're mechanical parts, but it's typically not the hardware itself, and it's usually not the software application. It's the integration between the two. That there's a USB conflict, or there was a Windows update that broke it for some reason, and it goes unexplained for whatever reason. Or in the case of one I just heard with check scanners was that the Microsoft introduced a .NET version 4.81. It was just like a minor update, but ended up breaking the integration between these check scanners and the application software, and all these customers that were trying to do remote deposits into Bank of America and Wells Fargo and stuff. They couldn't do their remote deposits for days, and really monetizing this kind of technology because it's open source. Everybody says it's free and I can't make money on it and it's not strategic. Amazon and their Fire TVs, their Android operating system. So they get a free operating system, they enhanced it, they modified it, and they make a ton of money off Fire tablets and Fire TVs. And the Android operating system probably contributes hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars to the economy because of the ecosystem around open source software. So that's a long-winded answer to say there's money to be made. I had a use case just the other day, Bryant, where I had to send my tax documents to my accountant. And I had this big stack of documents. It was like this big, like hundreds and hundreds of documents. If I traditionally had to scan those and email it to him, he couldn't have got it because I had to split it because it was like over 10 megabytes. So I just said, hey, just go on to my web scanning application. I've got the documents. I've got the scanner here. I put all the documents in my scanner, and he scanned directly to himself and just brought it in. So he can get it done
Mhm.
like within minutes. So the hard dollars are very tangible, very easy to identify, but all the soft dollars that are not really of top of mind and aren't measured within the business, and the lost value of a knowledge worker getting work done, or those people with the check scanning application, they couldn't deposit the checks for days, right? So
Mhm.
these are the dollars that is lost productivity by the worker, by inconvenienced uh, clients that have to go on the bank again and bring documents when the scan system's working, for example. So these are all the things that are eliminated when you don't have a PC involved and you just have a software application
Mhm.
talking directly to a document scanner.
Okay. Now, I know that my next question was what's next for network scanning, and I know you've talked a lot about the next thing for Twain Direct is obviously getting the word out there. From the standpoint of anything next from a technological underpinning for network scanning, is there anything new on the horizon, or is it sort of a doubling down and figuring out how to use what we have now?
That's a great question. So now that the Twain Direct specification has been out and ISVs have been using it, there's validation that it's a solid specification. So in other words, we don't have to go back and change anything. And that's a concern when you release version 1 of your technology.
Right.
Oftentimes, you overlook something or there was a bug in the code, but that's not the case, right? So now that the Twain Direct specification itself is solid, what needs to be added is the complementary kind of workflow systems around it. And let me be specific about a few things. So adding enterprise authentication, like to an Active Directory system, because all of your usernames and passwords are in Active Directory, you don't want to have a separate user and password database. So having Twain Direct application connected to an Active Directory is really critical. Having encryption of the documents themselves is really important, not just like a password protected PDF, but actually encrypted with blockchain or encrypted with some kind of really advanced technology,
Mhm.
or adding backend connectors to something like scanning to a SharePoint, or scanning to DocuShare, or scanning to Laserfiche, right? Scanning to all these document systems, scanning to QuickBooks Online. So integration needs to be done. So this is an opportunity for ISVs or systems integrators to come in and say, hey, there's this entire like hundreds and thousands and millions of applications that need scanning capability, just
Mhm.
need like ad hoc scanning, to come in and say, hey, there's a lot of connectors that need to be built, right? There's a lot of workflows that can be built. And there's customization. Every client probably has different line of business systems, right? Not everyone has Salesforce and QuickBooks and this, some might have Freshdesk and some might have QuoteWorks and whatever. And all these custom integrations need to be done. So as a savvy software developer, you come in and you integrate that. So really, the technology is solid, but it is just an imaging acquisition to hardware device specification. It's just a specification. We provide
Mhm.
some source code, but it needs additional things: authentication, encryption, workflow, connectors, and there's some other creative stuff that we'll be sharing at the InfoSource conference as well. But that's a
Okay.
good sneak peek for now.
Okay. So, let's just ask you this. So, Twain is always seems to have something in the pipeline. So, are you working on anything? Excuse me. Are you working on any other initiatives at the moment?
Yeah, and there's some that we're working on. I can't quite share yet. If you come to the conference, maybe we could have a behind the scenes discussion.
A
But let me
a
talk about, yeah,
a networking conversation.
networking covers. There you go. But I'll give you a couple examples. Yes, we are looking at partnering. So as I said, getting ISV awareness, getting systems integration awareness, getting reseller awareness, uh, getting managed service providers awareness. It as a nonprofit group ourselves, we need to partner with other coalitions, alliances, and groups. Another example is maybe we might consider joining organizations that provide authenticity services and through their specification. So that's one. And then there's a company that we met or an organization we met last year at the InfoSource Capture Conference, which was really wonderful. They were the Business Payments Coalition, BPC. And what they were doing was an e-invoice standard. So in Europe, it's pretty much a standard, a digital standard, from what I understand, right? E-invoice is pretty common over there. But in the United States, for whatever reason, I won't get into it, politics or vendors don't want standards. They want their proprietary technology, maybe, I don't know. But anyways, in the United States, it's very fragmented, right? So they were advocating for invoice standards. So they already built out this framework. They built out a specification.
Yeah.
We've had wonderful conversations with them. We support their project 100%. And we could see that TWAIN Direct and the TWAIN Direct community and the TWAIN community providing our technology as a plug-in into their framework makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that we're working on.
So plays nicely with others, I think.
Yes.
So the last question I had for you is, so I know you had a successful Developers Day last fall. We've talked about a little bit about that in the past. Since that time, have you seen some more interesting TWAIN Direct applications come out as a result? And can you give some examples from current TWAIN Direct projects?
Yeah, so there's actually two answers to that question, Brian, and I'll answer the new projects. But there was some projects that came as a result. We got visibility because of TWAIN Direct Developers Day last year, and these projects have continued to expand and continue to evolve over the last year. So I'll give you some examples. So there was a ISV, there was an ERP ISV out here in Northern California where I live, and they had a legacy Windows application built on some old Microsoft code, and now they want to upgrade to a web scanning application. So they already had scanning capability using the TWAIN driver, and but it was kind of old-fashioned. That's not their business, is to be in the scanning business, but they wanted to offer that to their ag customers. They sell to agriculture, and I found that the ag business is actually big business, actually. But anyways, so they had a old legacy application. Now they want to offer web scanning. So they came to us and started asking questions. So traditional ERP, as you can imagine, is probably a good target audience for us, and we're seeing tangibly this one customer. We also got visibility of another ISV. They do fraud prevention. So when you go to rent a car or any kind of rent a truck or whatever, you have to provide your driver's license or a passport or some form of ID. And yeah, you can scan it, you can extract the data, but can you really validate it against kind of a federal database or a UPS database? Make sure the address is correct. You're not on the no-fly list. So they do fraud identity prevention. And this was another application where they wanted to create an IoT scanning device, right? They didn't want to do the traditional install a PC with a scanner and all that kind of stuff. So is that with all the hacking that's going on right now, we're seeing a lot more interest in federal and government, because again, the PC involved in the equation is usually the vulnerable point. This is the point of the system that has very insecure kind of operating systems. It's not managed well. This is the point of failure, right? It's not the software application. It's not the hardware device usually. So if you can eliminate the PC from the equation, it just eliminates that kind of attack surface of all these possibilities. So federal government, state government on a worldwide basis, that's a big deal. And well, I said the last thing, but there's been a lot of interest in the initial Developers Day for this year. There's been a lot of new ISVs coming in that want to join this, and we're getting visibility to more and more projects for TWAIN Direct.
Look forward to seeing you. Thanks for the nice words about the event. Thank you again for sponsoring the event, and we will see you September 6th and 7th.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.